All right, so here's the final breakdown from all those scraps. So these are gonna be the pixels, and these are just kind of larger blanks, roughly cut right now. I will change the size of these, but right now what I've got going on, these are the thinnest, a little thicker, and the thickest. So those are all my pixels, lots of variety there. This is just extra inlay blanks that I made from some of the cutoffs. These are just a whole bunch of cutoffs, nice and squared up. And then these specifically, not this piece, these are gonna be the bow tie inlays for the secondary crack. So this crack is gonna get pixelated out. This crack is gonna get some inlays. I'm gonna do 2 medium-sized inlays in the middle and then 2 smaller inlays on the outside. And then we're gonna do a quick epoxy fill on that as well. So these 4 inlays got nice thickness to them, nice figure. Gonna be awesome. So here's the pub table, and the current plan is for this to be the top. It's got this entire crack edge to edge. So I was gonna pixelate that out with the pixel inlays and basically add some more of this beautiful figure to what is kind of a more boring section of that wood. You got figure there, feather there. Figure would be added via the pixels. That crack, the plan was just do some bow tie inlays and fill that with epoxy. So take a mental note of that. I'm gonna flip this around because I'm struggling with which side should actually be the top. Now here's the other side, which is currently planned to be the bottom. And to me, there's almost book matched figure along that line. Like there's a lot more figure there than there was on that lower corner on the other side when I turned it. And originally I was trying to hide this void on the bottom. I think that's what I was thinking. But the more I look at this, I mean, it just adds so much. It's interesting. I like voids. A lot of times, sometimes in the past, I would do like stitches or inlays or crossed shallower voids than this. I don't think this needs anything structural. It's not gonna move any more than the wood's gonna seasonally move. I guess I'm just saying, sometimes I've done some inlay work across voids like this, but for this one, I think I just wanna power carve it out, clean it up, get rid of all the loose stuff, maybe torch it black or just leave it kind of natural. I don't know, but I think that void would really add some interest to the table. And I just think there's more figure. So I'm gonna get with a client, figure out if we have made the wrong decision, get on the same page before I start doing the inlays, because I think I prefer this side. Another benefit of this side is that crack where the inlays were gonna go and still will go is not quite as gnarly. Some inlays there and a quick epoxy fill would just be, it'd be less epoxy, more wood, if that makes sense. Like that crack is just bigger. It's got a bigger separation there. I'll still do inlays to stabilize it, but I just don't love looking at epoxy. And this would be a lot less epoxy kind of width-wise to see. That crack still gets pixelated all the way out. So I just got done breaking down actual pixels into usable sizes of pixels. And as I look at this, so the original thought was all these pieces came from this slab, from the big perimeter that was cut off of this. So all this wood is from this tree going back into the same slab. I wasn't gonna be too picky, I was just gonna put all of it back in there. I thought these pieces with these lighter streaks were pretty cool. However, looking at the table itself, it's Claro Walnut, very reddish as usual. I'm not sure where on the outside these lighter pieces came from, but of the actual table that remains, there really isn't any of that lighter streaking. And I don't know that I want to draw attention to those. Haven't ruled them out yet, but right now I'm kind of thinking I might just kind of get rid of these ones with the lighter streaks and stick to the inlays that have all of these true kind of reddish marbled tones that kind of fit the rest of the table, just so it blends in. It's going to be noticeable, but something like that little pop of contrast will kind of draw your eyes to that. I just don't know if it's going to blend in well or be kind of a attention grabber in a way that I don't want. So something to think about. All right, I'm switching gears real quick. I want to get this tray oiled up. Beautiful piece of maple I got from Mark, the Windwood. I've been sitting on this for a while because I'm trying to get I've got a collector's series section on my website set up. And the reason I set that up is because I've already got several boards that are just kind of above and beyond what my typical boards are. And this is kind of following along those lines. Some of those were like some of my caveman boards from back in the day. Just basically boards that have like a bigger shape or more artful presence, if that makes sense. Like I always use figured wood. No boring wood is kind of the motto I try to live by. And every piece of wood I try to use for all my projects has figure, but some of them just have something extra to them. Extra figure, extra color, extra character. And when I got this piece of maple, I just knew this was a little bit special, even more so than most of my usual wood. And the whole idea behind the collector series is they're gonna have, instead of my usual branding iron, I'm gonna put a recess, and they're all going to get one of these brass medallions. And you can see they're all individually numbered, which I think is pretty cool. Solid brass. The detail is recessed down in there, so the JML and the wood grain is kind of pronounced. Anyway, cool little touch for a cool piece of wood. A lot of times these figured edges are my favorite part of the entire piece. You have so much going on the surface, but you get this curl, especially on my curved, kind of rounded edge boards, and even these tapered ones with more sharp angles. Just the way the curl just kind of bends around that, it's just so fun to look at. Especially fun to see it come to life with the oil on there. And here's a closer look at one of those figured corners I was talking about. I just love that. You got that tight ripped curl just wrapping around those contours. A not so subtle feature, but it is on the bottom of the tray. Pretty much no one's ever gonna see it. You've also got some nice little bands of angel step quilt going up through there. If you're wondering why I've got walnut dowels instead of matching maple, I just, for whatever reason, always have walnut dowels on hand. I bought them in bulk a long time ago. I can't say the same for maple, so I've run out. I didn't want to wait any longer. I want to get this done today. And these dowel plugs for the handle screw holes, that's exactly where my rubber feet go anyway. So these get covered up regardless of what wood they are. So I know in my last table segment, I was going back and forth between which side I wanted to use. This feather is the entire reason I bought this slab. I saw this side before we even saw the back side. Knew I wanted the slab before seeing the other side for this feather right here. Going back to the original plan, I don't want to lose that. The void will stay on the bottom. We're still going to pixelate out this entire crack. Still going to do bow tie inlays and then a small epoxy pour right there. All right, first pixel of many is in. I have no idea how many this is going to take. I haven't even counted this pile yet. I'm going to guess between 30 and 40. If that pile's not enough, I've still got reserves I can make more out of, or maybe I won't use all these. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Next video, I'll show you how I knock this down to flat. Again, basically the way I like to do this, I have that one there now. I'm going to leave it proud, let the glue dry the rest of the day. I'll probably do one down here, one down there, just enough where the router base is not kind of hitting an adjacent pixel. And I'll let all that glue dry overnight and kind of come back through and work my way through the slab that way. Rather than trying to flatten this and then immediately start doing another pixel maybe next to this or on top of this, just to let everything dry before I'm digging in there. But next video, I will show you how I flush this up to the surface with my custom router jig base. That's it for now. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here.